Good evening and welcome to the October 27, 2020 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy. Information on remote access to the meeting was sent via email to the Suburban Trends, Daily Record, and Record newspapers, posted on the bulletin board, front door, and handicapped entrance of the municipal building and on the Township's website.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
to the flag
of the United
of the
States
United
of America,
States of America,
and to the
and
republic
to the republic
for
for which it stands,
which it
which
stands,
stands
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all. If I can ask everyone to please remain standing after our prayer so that we may continue to pray and pay tribute to our beloved police chief, Brian Spring, who passed away on October 18th. Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. God bless. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Melissa. And Godspeed, Brian. Okay, clerk, will roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Here.
Mr. Cole,
Here.
Mr. Phelan,
here.
Mrs. Russell, here, Mayor Hurd.
Here. Thank you. All right, for anyone who hasn't participated in one of our remote meetings, I'm going to ask Mr. Brewer to review the format of the meeting. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. The township is conducting this meeting via the Zoom webinar function. There are several portions throughout the meeting where the public may be invited to participate. They're either called out on the agenda or the mayor could invite public participation should he and the council welcome it. Should that be the case, we ask that you raise your hand, and at such time you will be recognized and allowed to join the meeting to speak. If there are any questions or any issues, please also feel free to make comments, and at the appropriate time they will be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. So we have a presentation this evening, and I have a question for everybody. I know that the women on the call are no older than 29. I did just turn 49. But think of the things that you've seen in your lifetime. I mean, I remember the days of the pager and even the phones, the pay phones. You guys remember the pay phones where you actually had to put quarters in to make a phone call?
Oh, yeah.
Well, could you imagine what you've seen in your life if you were 100 years old? I mean, we're talking about things like the horse-drawing carriage, the invent of TV. We're talking about telephones and party lines and computers and so many things I can't even think of.
We're talking about World War I and World War II and the Korean War also.
Exactly. I mean, this is amazing. So there is a resident in town who is turning 100 on November 8th. I personally think that's amazing. I've always admired that are so old and all of the things seen. So we, the town council, would love to pay a little respect for this wonderful person. Her name is Ruth Wilson. So if you would allow me, I'd like to make a proclamation.
Ruth Withers, Ryan.
Ruth Wilson.
Her name is Ruth
Wilson Withers. I know I'm going to mess that up, but I'm sorry about that, Ruth. We still love you.
Ryan. She's on.
Okay.
She's on the webinar too. Hi, Ruth.
Oh, Ruth! How are you doing,
Hi,
Ruth?
Mrs. Withers.
It's great.
Happy
I
birthday.
can't believe. Happy birthday to you. Well, Ruth, this one is for you. Whereas Ruth Wilson Withers celebrates her 100th birthday on November 8th, 2020. And whereas Ruth is a lifelong resident of New Jersey who moved to Pompton Plains in 1949 with her husband, William R. Withers, a World War II Army veteran, and their first child, and has remained in Pompton Plains for 71 years. That's amazing. And whereas Ruth was born in the year that women received the right to vote, and whereas as a kindergarten teacher at North Boulevard and Stephen J. Gerace schools for 20 and a half years, Ruth taught hundreds of Pequannock Township children first year of school. And whereas Ruth's loving extended family, including 4 children, 8 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, and 15 nieces and nephews celebrate Ruth's birthday from as near as Pequannock Township and as far away as California. Now, therefore, on the occasion of her 100th birthday, Mayor Ryan Hurd and the members of Pequannock Township Council hereby recognize Ruth Withers for her long life, prosperity, and contributions to her family and community. Happy birthday. It's my honor to congratulate you. 100 years is absolutely amazing, and we want you around for another 100 years. So I hope that you are up to it. Council, do you have anything to say to Ruth?
Happy birthday, Ruth.
Happy
Happy
birthday, Ruth.
birthday.
Happy
That is-
birthday, Ruth. I'm happy to share the same birthday as you.
Are you 100? I never knew.
I look good, don't I?
You do. And I'm sure Ruth looks just as good. Well, congratulations, Ruth. Congratulations to your family. We are proud to have you in the township of Pequannock. And boy, I'd love to chat with you and just talk about the things that you've seen in your lifetime. That is amazing. All right. So next we have reports from volunteers. So if there are any volunteers that would like to have comments, or if we have any comments from any volunteers serving our community, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. And of course, Mr. Brewer, because I cannot see you because I'm doing this on my phone.
There are no hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
I believe Carol is on the phone with Frank. He's trying to get in, and he's having a hard time getting in.
It must be one of those days. Technical difficulties all the way around. All right, well, maybe we can get him in the public comments, because next on the agenda is public comments. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Okay, well, if Frank is having a hard time getting in, we will be more than happy to accommodate him later on. Okay, moving on, manager's report. Next on the agenda is our manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Well, I hate to open like this twice consecutively in meetings, but Councilwoman Florence Lynch thankfully led us in a moment of silence for Chief Spring. I just want to express my condolences to his family. Chief Spring was an officer with the township for 34 years, retiring, taking his last call on October 18th. He passed away after a long and hard-fought battle, and his impact on the community was significant. Brian was a heck of a nice guy. When I first met him, I called him Chief, and he said, "No, it's just Brian." And that's just kind of how he represented himself. So I just want to open my report with my condolences to Stacy, his wife, Melissa, his daughter, the rest of the family, the department, and the community. For anyone who was around on Thursday and Friday, the arrangements were tremendous. My thanks to the Morris County Sheriff's Office. They helped by covering the community so the department could participate in whole. And it was a very fitting tribute for one heck of a great guy. So tough to start a manager's report twice in a row with losing a leader in our community. But that's kind of what the month and the period we're in right Moving forward, a couple quick things scheduled later as a discussion item. We have the best practices checklist. So I'll provide a little greater detail about that when we discuss it. Within the council's packet for consideration is a resolution regarding the Martin Berry House. As a result of opening the walls up and working through the restoration phase 1 and 2 project, it was identified that there are some structural issues with the house. I know if I open up my house that's about 50 years old, I find some interesting things. This house is 300 years old, so there's some very interesting things. So there's, for the council's consideration, a resolution with an appropriation of about $53,000, a little more than that, from the Open Space Trust, and a change order from the contractor to make those necessary repairs to the structural bones of the house. And then lastly, it's not on my report because I didn't think of putting it in there. I apologize for that, but everyone should have received a letter in the mail regarding the upcoming recycling change, which is November 1st. So as we've tried to make public through the website and through sending everybody some correspondence, we are transitioning, as the council is aware, to a dual stream recycling program to mitigate the overwhelming increase in costs associated with recycling in the state of New Jersey. So I've gotten a number of calls, as well as other members of the staff have gotten a number of calls on that. So we're happy that everybody's engaged and moving forward with dual stream recycling, which initiates on November 1st. The garbage collection does not change. The vegetative waste collection does not change. The only change is moving from one recycling collection on Mondays to a recycling collection on Tuesday and a recycling collection on Friday. The first being bottles and cans, the second being paper and cardboard.
So Adam, you've had for lack of a better word, complaints about the change? Because I know the resident of this house has been complaining to me about it.
I actually have not had any outright complaints. I had some questions and people didn't understand why. So I reviewed why and they went, oh, okay, that makes sense. So everybody who had some concerns, if Mrs. Phelan wants to reach out, I'm sure be happy to take her call. Unless there's any questions about my other questions, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. And if Mrs. Phelan calls, I think you better pick up, just in case. All right.
Is it true people can get recycling stickers for their cans at DPW?
We are working on getting some stickers together. The challenge is the stickers we had before were provided by the county, so we have to have them made up.
Okay. But
Can
we
get any
are
more from
doing
county,
that?
or-
Yeah, we're working on getting some stickers just so, most people are going to have 2 containers, but we're working on getting some stuff made up to make it obvious. I mean, there's recycling symbol stickers that I think we have, but to differentiate between mixed paper and bottles and cans, we're going to get those. We're also working on, we have an app that is being developed with the Apple Store, which already has had some of the components installed on the town's recycling and garbage webpage. So, for example, if you want to know how to get rid of a gable top container, you can type in gable top container. It will define it and tell you what day to get rid of it. It has the collection schedule. And ultimately, once it's available through Apple, you can download it on your phone in case you have questions, you want to request certain things. It'll all be done through a municipal recycling app.
Have we ever looked into, I know some towns, I know Montville does it, they give away the recycling barrels. Did we ever look into getting a grant for that or doing something like that?
We haven't.
Okay.
Actually, I think we did look into it with when Dave was here, and
We did.
it
was
was
very
expensive
costly.
per can. Yeah, it was like $80 per can, if I remember right. It was really expensive. And
I know towns will provide containers if they transition for garbage, for example, to the one-armed bandit thing,
Right.
which is where the truck picks up the garbage can and dumps it in. We have 4,008 collection points. So if you do the math on an $80 can times 4,008, it gets pretty costly.
a couple of bucks.
Yeah, that's a little expensive. Okay, I was just curious. I know people have asked, so that's good to have an answer.
Sure.
All righty. Any other questions, council?
No.
All righty. Just
Thank
so you know, Rich and Dave, I can't see you on my phone, so if I don't see you waving or whatnot, please speak up. Okay, next on the agenda is public hearings. We don't have any, nor do we have any ordinances for introduction. So now resolutions for approval. Ms. Marsh.
Beginning with Resolution R 2209, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. 2022-10 to apply for the Department of Community Affairs Division of Local Government Services Local Government Emergency Fund Grant in the amount of $191,882. 2022-11, authorizing the expenditure from the Pequannock Township Open Space, Recreation, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. 2022-12, approving change order number 1 for the Martinberry House renovation project, increasing the contract with Drill Construction of West Orange, New Jersey by $53,437 to a revised contract price of $726,477. R 2020-213, regarding emergency remote meeting protocol procedures and requirements for public participation at remote meetings. R 2020-214, authorizing the execution of a right-of-way hold harmless agreement between the Township of Pequannock and Francis Semeraro. And 2020-215, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the October 21st, 2020 bill list.
Thank you, Ms. Marsh. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
Adam, can you just go over again how much of that 726,000 for the Martinberry was grant money or will be grant money?
Three quarters of the total contract amount was grant money. 25% was municipal match. But this additional amount of $53,437 is pure cash from the Open Space Trust.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, that is outside the scope of the grant.
So then we're paying roughly 250,000 for this stuff. 246.
Correct.
Roughly?
There were also, as noted in my report, there were also significant issues encountered with the chimney. It was originally thought that it needed to be repointed, but it actually has to be rebuilt. That doesn't seem to be an emergency condition, which we will make application, provided the council sees fit to make application in 21 to fund that necessary repair.
Yeah. Unfortunately, go ahead.
Well, I know that when you open stuff up, you find surprises, but are we kind of done finding the surprises on this project?
I don't know.
On a 300-year-old house, there's going to be more surprises.
I know.
Yeah,
but, there's a point where,
Yeah, I think we're too far down the road. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. You kind of get down this rabbit hole and you keep. I have no problem with this. I understand this, but I was just, at one point we have to say, okay, we're good.
What does the future hold? That's really what this is all about.
Right. That's
Correct.
exactly it.
I would love to be able to say that this is it, and hopefully as we move forward, but that's something that I certainly can't do with any certainty.
I believe phase 3 is also the roof, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, there were massive issues over the years, over the centuries, with water infiltration into the house.
Sure.
If the house hadn't been built the way it was built, I don't think it would still be standing. If you look at the pictures within the agenda packet, there's framing that just doesn't connect. There's sill plates that are just there.
Yeah.
If it had been 2x4 construction, I think it'd be a pile of sticks right now.
So Adam, the train station, is that going to need repairs very shortly also?
The chimney issue is a greater priority than the roof at the train station. The roof at the train station is the next thing that's going to need to be the subject of a grant application. But if we have the availability to submit multiples, we will, but that can wait a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have plenty of money in that open space fund right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still
The balance exceeds $400,000.
Yeah, I kind of remember we had a lot in there. Okay.
Right. And this was a great project for it's a great preservation project, but we knew it was gonna, it was too good to be true when you start going down, like you said, the rabbit hole. Unfortunately, we got to keep going. So
it's going to be a net positive, because once we have the rail trail, then you have a way to link, let's say, Martinberry House to the railroad, to the everything in town. You can get on and off. You can go over to the park. So I think at the end of the day, when everything is done and everything's stitched together, I think it's going to be great assets. But that's going to be one of the things we need to be able to use these assets. And I mean, there's a reason why we have them is so people can see them and use them and whatnot.
Right.
So really,
Yeah,
we got
it's going to be a great asset at the end of the day. So
Let's just remember the taxpayers are paying a portion of this. Just don't
Right.
forget that,
Absolutely.
guys.
Right. That's what we have to keep in mind.
And
Yep.
just remember that we're getting some of the money back from the county that we pay the county. So
Right, but we're not being whole on this.
without that grant from the trust fund, I mean,
Ouch.
ooh,
Yeah, we never could have
75%.
done it.
That's great. So we're putting our money to work because that's a very effective and efficient way of using our money, especially when we get a 4-to-1 or sometimes 5-to-1 when we only have to put 20% in. So yeah, we still have to be responsible and studious, but I think it's good to preserve some of our heritage because that's part of the DNA of our town.
I agree.
But that said, I wouldn't go buying any more houses at this time. All right. Is there any other questions from council about resolutions? Is there a motion to adopt the resolutions?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2020-209 through 2020-215.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
yes,
Mr. Phelan,
Yes,
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is items for discussion. We're going to be talking about best practice and meeting dates and appointments. So, Mr. Brewer.
The township engaged in what I'll generously characterize as completing the quote best practices end quote checklist, which is issued by the Division of Local Government Services, the Department of Community Affairs for the state of New Jersey. As the council knows from every year we go over this is an opportunity for administration from Trenton to prepare a list of things that they believe are a priority for municipalities to complete for best practices. Forgive the slight sarcasm in my representation because some of the things that I find are just challenging that they ask or they articulate as a best practice when it seems more of a priority from a different angle. The township scored
24.
24 when 16 was necessary in order to not have any of the revenue that is rightly the township's withheld. And you know, the one question that the township had to say no to, we said yes to all of the best practices. There was only one question that the township had to say no to and lost points to. And I'd like to read that just for the benefit of the council and the public's understanding. Has your municipality established by ordinance an anti-nepotism policy that at a minimum prohibits hiring immediate family members of elected officials, department heads, or supervisors? So that's the only thing we said no to because we've not adopted a law that prevents us from hiring someone that might be related to anybody who is identified. We do have a policy that prohibits the supervision of people who are involved in relationships or have a family dynamic. So we do have a manner to address nepotism. And as the council knows, in the manager-council form of government, it's not the council's prerogative to hire staff. It's with some exceptions, usually the managers. So the political involvement isn't what may exist in other places. So, you know, I find the state deciding that having a law dictating the hiring practices an interesting thing. But anyway, that's the only one that we had to lose points on. And otherwise, we were able to answer yes to everything in the best practices checklist that was pointed.
so Adam, my comment to that, if the person is qualified to do the job, they are qualified to do the job, period.
Correct.
Yeah, and well, what is the maximum amount of points we could possibly get or a town could possibly get?
I think it was 25.
So 25. And Mr. Uzdike, is that illegal to say that you can't hire somebody from this group or they can get away with it?
No, it isn't illegal. We could have an anti-nepotism policy. Some municipalities do. I think, as the township manager points out, in our form of government, it becomes less of an issue because we don't have council hiring their own relatives for this purpose because the manager's charged with that responsibility. And the person's qualified, they're qualified. So we would be able to have such a policy, though, if that was the council's desire.
So it's more of stopping corruption than it is anything else.
That's what the trigger seemed to be, yes. And it was a No, it was a response to things a long, long time ago that occurred in municipalities.
So Adam, has any municipality scored too low and not get money? I'd find that hard to believe.
I've never, having done this since it was initiated, I don't know, 2010, 11, sometime back then, I've never been party to a municipality that had any money withheld. And if you really want to get me on my soapbox, the only money the township receives from the state of New Jersey is energy receipts tax, which is rightly ours to begin with. So the fact that they would hold the money that we're supposed to get from the utilities anyway, I find a bit interesting. I'll just say it that way. But here we are.
Hey, we scored a 24.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's it, and we are required to discuss it with the council. So we are satisfying that requirement, and tomorrow we can submit it to the state of New Jersey.
It has officially been discussed.
Thank you.
All right. Now, meeting dates and appointments. Ms. Marsh or Mr. Brewer?
I passed, the first part is that we passed out a draft of the possible meeting dates for next year. I just want to know if anybody has any comments, corrections.
I have a comment.
Okay,
My first comment is for the month of July and August. I was wondering how the council would feel about meeting once during the month of July and August instead of meeting twice. I mean,
I'm
I
okay with that.
originally would like to do Zoom meetings, but during the summer, but I don't think that's going to be allowed. But I would like to see if we can meet once in July, once in August, and if we need to, we can have a second meeting in either month. But I mean, the summers are pretty quiet usually.
Even on our committees and stuff like that. I'm good with that. We can always add a meeting.
Is there any state regulations on
Yeah,
this?
that's what I was going to ask.
There is not, and many towns do choose to go to one meeting a month in the summer.
I'm good with that.
I also have one other suggestion. I see our last meeting in the year of 2021 is December 28th. I don't know about you guys, but you know, the week of Christmas, I really like to either spend time with my family or go away. I thought maybe we can meet on 12/23 in the afternoon, late afternoon, and be done with the meetings for 2021 on the 23rd.
That works.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, geez.
23rd at 1 p.m.
I
23rd at 1 p.m. Is that what?
I say.
Yeah, that's fine. 12/23, 1 p.m. on
1
2021.
That's okay with everybody?
When's our,
Adam?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when the
I'm
meetings
fine.
are, I come.
when is our reorg meeting?
Wait. Can we just not finish that yet? If you're only
Yeah.
going to meet once a month, do you want it to be the second Tuesday or the fourth Tuesday? I think it's problematic to change it to the third one.
Whatever one's easiest to make sure we get the bills. We just got to approve the bills, correct?
Adam, do you have a preference?
I would recommend the second and the fourth, the second Tuesday and then the second Tuesday.
Okay.
There's really only 3 weeks between any given meeting at that point.
So is that the first Tuesday of the July or the second Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday?
Second Tuesday of each of the 2 months.
Okay.
Right,
It'll be July 13th and August 10th.
correct.
So we're keeping July 13th and August 10th.
Correct.
Yeah, and then taking out the other two, right.
Okay.
And Carol, you'll make sure those go in the yearly calendar, you said?
Yes, they get published in the township calendar.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure Diane has them.
Yeah, and I also, Carol, I also noticed that, I don't know if this is just a draft, but it says hereby established for the year 2020. It should be 2021,
Oh.
correct?
It is a draft, but yes, thank you.
And then down on the bottom also, it says
Same
adopted.
thing, the adopted date.
I'll fix that. Thank you.
All right.
So the two other things are establishing a time, date, and maybe venue of the reorg meeting, and to come up with dates for the special meetings to talk about appointments to committees.
Right. So special meetings would be before the end of the year,
Yes.
correct? So do you guys want to do them like, do you guys want to do them in the middle of the day, or do you want to do them like we usually do right before council? What works for you?
I work for a living, so they can't be in the middle of the day.
How about December 3rd at like 6 o'clock at night? Rather than do it, let's do one long one if we have to. And my gut feeling is we could probably hash it all out in one meeting. And if we have to, we can have a short second meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we plan it for December 3rd, and then if we have to, we can do it again on the 8th before the next meeting.
Okay.
Perfect.
That makes sense.
So December 3rd, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Carol,
No,
you're gonna get out the committees and who's up?
Yes. I need to give it to you and I need to send it to the members themselves.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you. And then lastly, the date for the reorg meeting in January.
I say January 4th or January 5th.
Fine with
I
either.
agree with Dave.
Kyle?
Yeah, either one of those works for me.
The question is the venue.
Outside, unless it's bad.
Did you guys decide January 4th or 5th?
Correct.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Can we decide now which date?
Do they work for you, Melissa?
Yeah, I think is 5th a Tuesday. Am I looking at the right count? What day of the week is that?
The 5th is is a Tuesday. The 4th is a Monday.
All right. Can we do the Tuesday if you guys don't care?
That's fine.
All right. Let's do the 5th.
Where do you want to have it?
What time?
6 o'clock?
You want to do it outside?
6 o'clock?
6 is fine. 6 works.
Yep.
I say we look at renting a hall if we need to.
Well, 6 o'clock on January 5th is going to be dark, just so you know. So if we do it outside, we're going to need some kind of lights.
What are you
How many people
serious
can we get in?
outside? It's going to be 0 degrees out.
That's fine with me.
It probably will be cold out.
Hello.
We've
It's
had a couple
January.
of warm. We have had a couple of warm years, but
Okay, yeah, I think we can look into the Knights of Columbus. We could have socially distanced tables at the Knights. It's big enough.
Why not do it at PV Park, right on the shore? Beautiful background. Maybe we can go ice skating afterwards.
Well, just
think
remember,
about that.
the Knights of Columbus hasn't been open since St. Patty's Day. So I reached out to them for a football event this Thursday and they're still closed. So
Yeah, we can't count on that.
I count on it. Yeah.
What about what's another
You see
big
Castle?
area?
Castle?
The castle?
Really?
How much? Well, that would get expensive. Yes. What would they charge us?
Yeah.
Well,
We don't have to offer an open bar. We can just try to get the space.
right. We could just
How
have,
about can we just borrow the rotunda for like 45 minutes?
I mean, we could
Keep
do
it simple, people.
space, yeah. I mean, I think he would probably allow us in, to use the facility.
Right.
So if we have to, we could use Hayden Corporation in Wayne, New Jersey. They have lots of open space.
Oh yeah, we could use my studio in Montville also.
Yeah.
I have
Let's
tables
try
and
to keep it
chairs.
down.
We do have to look at the rules and stuff for wearing masks. We can do this by Zoom. I just want to put it out there. We can do this by Zoom. As long as you can see everybody taking the oath. You can invite your families. That works. I don't know what is going to be involved in wearing masks and not wearing masks and sound systems and lighting and rentals and parking, and we have to look into all that. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but
The way things are going, it's going to be very limited, I'm sure.
Well, we'll have to see. I think we should look into it and look into different halls.
Yeah, let's start looking into it. See what we come up with over the course of the next couple of weeks.
You know, we just call people, see who has a hall, see who wants. I don't think we need a sound system. I don't think we need anything like that.
Or
No.
why can't we just use senior center?
Not big
I
enough.
don't know if there's enough. I don't think it's big enough. Is it?
It's not big enough.
That's why I mentioned the castle. The capacity of the castle is going to be the greatest thing in the region.
Right now, the senior house is only allowing 25 people on the tiled side. The carpeted side is closed.
Right.
Are we going to have more than 25 people?
And you have to wear masks. Even with 25 people, you still have to wear a mask.
And you have to be 6 feet apart from each other in the senior house, from what they say.
Okay.
Adam,
Right.
why
Well, we'll
you
see.
read
I mean, the rules change every day. So we'll
Yeah.
see what the rules are then and we'll follow them.
We could fit 100 people in Hayden, no problem, with masks.
If the council doesn't object, I'll reach out to the leadership at the castle and have a conversation with them just to see what the availability is and how flexible they may be in terms of what they could offer, because it is in town and it's a big space.
Yeah, okay.
Tuesday
All right.
turn
is
the lights
probably
off?
not a real popular day for events.
So it's going to be Tuesday, the 5th, 6 p.m. somewhere.
Right. Okay. That's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There are meeting dates and appointments. There are no reports and notices. So how about council reports? It's going to start with Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Yeah, I just wanted to back up and ask one thing. I don't know if it was removed from the agenda or just forgotten. I had made a suggestion about adding a possible committee based on outreach. Did you just forget to add it, Carol?
You're muted, Carol.
I thought you were going to bring it up during the discussion.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll bring it up now. It's discussion. Okay. So no, I thought you were just going to.
Because it was part of the whole.
Okay. All right. So going back to the committees, I have thought about this for a while, and I've had a lot of people reach out. Oh, great! Somebody's calling me at the same time. Sorry, guys. How do we feel about a beautification committee? It would be a volunteer committee. I've probably had over the years, probably 15 different people, maybe even more than that, reach out to me and say, you know, they'd really like to see a beautification committee in town. I looked, just to kind of give you an idea of, you know, the mission statements of other, you know, towns. You know, it could be as simple as a volunteer resident group committed to working with officials on identifying new projects designed to enhance the overall appearance of town properties through community, you know, through utilizing community resources. It could be something as simple as that. Another one is making recommendations to the governing body and executing new ideas for the town's ambience, the character and appearance. And, you know, it wouldn't be limited to, but could be things that include parks and public property and selecting and placing appropriate decorative things along the street at the holidays, you know, things like that. I just wondered how everybody else felt about it, only because a lot of people have talked about it over the years, and a lot of people would like to volunteer to do something like that. And, you know, I don't want to make it too complicated, but I thought it would be a good thing. Any thoughts?
The problem, Melissa, is there's a cost to this. We can have a beautification committee, but the beautification committee's got to come to the council and say, look, we need this money to help make the town look better.
Yeah.
Understand that.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I'd also like to see the master plan ordinances that we you know, the new master plan come into
Right.
effect. I think that once some of those changes and ordinances have changed,
Right.
I think that is going to generate some beautification. And I think once that master plan is done, I'd like to see if we could reach out to the community or for grants for streetscape and all that other. I mean, we did get, before I was on council, I believe the town got the streetscape grant, and that's where
Grant.
some of that fake brick
Yep.
on the walkways came in. I mean, I'd like to see that done before we started a committee. And I agree with Rich. I mean, they could come up with some great ideas, but it all takes money. And I also feel, you know what? I mean, if there's something that we really want done, why aren't the five of us making recommendations?
Right, right. Or the residents can reach out to us as well and say, why don't you consider doing this? Or why don't you, and I get it. And that's something we could look into. I guess I was just kind of thinking maybe a committee could explore some of the resources that, to kind of help in that aspect, whether it was, grants or resources. So
I was in Lake George this summer, and they had beautiful flowers hanging from just about every telephone pole. But, there's a guy watering and fertilizing them at least probably, probably every 2 days someone's doing that. They have a little, almost like a golf cart with a huge thing on the back that's filled with water and fertilizer, I would imagine. I mean, I would love to see that in town. We did the barrels the one time. I'm not really a fan of the barrels on the ground. I think if we could do something that's a basket hanging in the air, that would be nice.
Right.
Again,
Yeah.
take money.
Yeah, and I know economic development, they were talking about, that group was talking about some of that stuff along the, turnpike, along businesses and stuff like that. But I just figured, I didn't know if you were open, if you guys thought it was a good idea to, or whether you didn't want to do it. So I just figured, I told people I would bring it up. And I figured I better do it before the end of the year. Any other thoughts?
Yeah,
I
I think it's a
just
great
think-
idea. Go ahead.
Okay, so I agree with what Dave said. I think that a lot of this is going to be addressed with the master plan.
Yeah.
I also think, along our main streets, that is the economic development can come up with stuff like that. They can say, hey, to help our businesses, what if we did that? Or what if we did that? So I also think people could come to us here and say, hey, it would look nice. I mean, Stacy's doing a great job with shade tree, and the trees are looking, good. And she, said these trees and these trees. So I think every committee is already kind of doing that right now.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea, and I think they should get together now. I don't think they need us as a council. They could work just like Chamber of Commerce, where works in partnership with the town, but it doesn't have to be done by the town.
Right.
So this way they could still, I think it's a great idea. They can come up with things. They can, maybe get donations, get baskets. Still got to think about who's going to water the plants, but I don't think it needs to be underneath the umbrella of the town per se. There's really nothing stopping them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking if we put out there that, hey, we're looking for volunteers, if you want to organize, a beautification committee, we'd, at least support them in the sense of, we think it's a great idea, and, let them meet and see what they come up with. I didn't think it was a bad thing. If you have people that want to do that and want to volunteer, they have to understand that it's not like they're going to necessarily going to get money. But if they want to meet collectively and try to come up with ideas, I thought it was a good idea. But
So Melissa, the problem is people like to see progress, and when there's no progress, it ends.
Right.
Period.
Well, that's true. That's true. So I don't know. I just know a lot of other towns do it, and just threw it out there because a lot of people have asked. But you're right. We need to decide, are we going to support this or not? But I thought it was a good idea, but no one else, just me and Ryan, huh?
It's a great idea, Melissa. It really is. But again, if they don't see progress, it's going to come to an end.
Well, does it hurt to let them try? What do you guys think?
Well, they can definitely try right now, but it
They can
doesn't
try.
have to be under the umbrella of the town, though. So they could literally start getting together.
Yeah. All right. I'll pass it along, and if there's a group of people that want to meet, it's just that they're coming from all areas, so they're not all collectively, together right now. So
Yeah.
But all right, I'll pass it along. I'm sure we'll hear more.
Anything else, Melissa?
No. Oh, you want me to do my report now, right?
Yeah. If you could, that'd be great.
Okay, moving along. We'll do our council reports. I also just wanted to mention again how our community couldn't be more saddened by the loss of our beloved police chief, Brian Spring. Brian was so strong and courageous throughout his long battle with cancer. He'll sorely be missed. And I also just wanted to thank our police department, our fire department, our first aid squad, all the volunteers and residents who made the tribute, a special tribute to Chief Spring. The send-off was beautiful, and he'd be really proud of everyone. So please continue to keep Brian's family in your thoughts and prayers and give them strength. Brian will be remembered for his smile, his compassion, his friendship, and his leadership. So I just wanted to mention that. On another note, Economic Development Advisory Committee, they will meet tomorrow via Zoom. I might talk to you and Adam, Carol and Adam later about this. Initially, our chair, Paul, set up the link for the Zoom meeting, but now he's not going to be able to make it, and he was not able to change the host to the co-chair, who is Joe DeFranco. So they asked if we could do it, set it up from a town perspective for them. Can we do that? Or show Joe how to set it up? Joe DeFranco is going to actually run the meeting.
What time is the meeting? Because we have a training taking place and we use it throughout the day for other meetings. So what time is this scheduled?
Well, their meeting is at 7:30 p.m. So either that or we'll just somebody will have to just make sure it gets set up for them. I mean, I can try to set it up. I just didn't know if you had the ability to do it from.
Yeah, we have a training all morning tomorrow. So early afternoon, I'll circle back to you. I'll check to see what the use of it is by other committees. And if it's available, it's a 5-minute exercise. If it's not available, it's not available.
Okay. And then the only other thing is this is one committee that has been talking about when is appropriate for them to meet in person again. And last time they brought it up, I kind of just said, you should really follow what the town council is doing. If the town council decides at some point to meet again in person, that would probably be the appropriate time. I know there are other outside groups that meet, but I think while the committees and boards are meeting Zoom, right? So it's not like if they collectively decide to meet as a group, can they do that at town hall or no at this point?
Inside the building would be tough because we don't really
Right.
have a conference room.
Right.
But there have been groups that have they've met outside.
Right.
There have been in-person meetings. If they're comfortable with it and there's a venue that will fit them, the challenge, as the council knows, is our conference room doesn't really provide for social distancing.
Right. I mean, I'll pass it along again. I know we keep talking about it, but okay. Thank you.
So Adam, I'm going to add to that. The Shade Tree met yesterday, and they met in the council chambers. And I told them that, look, guys, I cannot go to it for personal reasons. And I explained to them what those reasons are. And they managed to set it up as a Zoom where I was able to talk to them. I'm not sure how they managed to get into the building and set up a meeting in there, but I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong. That's just my 2 cents.
Am I muted or am I on? I think that if
You're on.
groups
All
wanna-
right,
I
Melissa,
think
is that
if
it?
groups- I think if
Yeah.
groups want to meet in person and they're socially distancing and wearing masks and following the rules, I don't see what the problem is.
And I agree with you, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. I'll pass it along, and if they,
All right, Councilman Cole.
I just want to echo what Melissa said about Chief Spring. Brian will surely be missed. It was a beautiful send-off. I hated to have the send-off for him, but it was a beautiful send-off. Everyone worked very well together. The county, our police department, our fire departments, all our volunteers. It was a beautiful day on Friday. I'm sure Brian was smiling about, how many people came out, and, the police cars that lined the turnpike was just tremendous. The procession that he had was tremendous. He will definitely be missed. He was a great guy, but he fought a tough battle, and, he'll be missed. I'll miss him. I mean, Brian and I knew him from high school. He was a few years older than me, but, I knew him in high school. So great guy, and he'll be missed. And that's all I have for my report.
Thank you. Councilman Phelan.
So I'm going to tell the story about how I met Brian.
Are you there, Rich?
Yeah. Can
He's
you hear
here.
me? Yeah. I think, Ryan, you left. But anyway, I'm going to tell the story how myself, met Brian when he was living in the Glens. This is prior to us getting on council. And I remember meeting him and saying, "Hi, my name is Rich Phelan, blah, blah, blah." When we got elected to council, I got a text message from him. He said, "Congratulations." And I texted back to him. I said, "Brian, I want you to know we are pro-police and we stand behind our police department 100%. That was myself, Kathy, and Melissa. And to this day, this council still stands behind our police department 100%. And I want everybody to know that, because I think it's very important that we all recognize that we are pro-police, and our police department is the best we could ever have.
Agree 100%.
Thank you, Rich. 100%, back to blue. Moving on, Deputy Mayor Russell.
Yeah, so I want to reiterate what everybody says. I have known Brian most of my life, and he will surely be missed. It was a beautiful job by everyone involved. It was horrible to be there, but yet wonderful to see all the respect just because of who he was. And it was also genuine how much love they had for him. And that's my report. Oh, I have one other question, Adam. On the health department, they haven't had an
Lastly,
update.
myself. Go ahead.
Can he hear me or no?
You got the hook, Kyle.
I got the hook. I was in the middle of talking. So Adam, can we have the health department update the recovered cases?
I'll have, I'll ask for updated statistics and update what's currently posted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Rye.
Thank you.
You're frozen, Ryan.
All
He's
right.
frozen.
Lastly, obviously I'm going to echo what everybody else said. I'm frozen. Can you hear me? I love technology. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, barely.
Barely, but yes.
Can you hear me? Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So I only have one thing to talk about, which is Brian. I have to say, that was absolutely amazing. I know we're all sad and we're all missing Brian, and my condolences to Stacy and Melissa. And I have to say, if it did not move you, you are not human. With that said, it was amazing because you could tell the outpouring for Brian. I mean, you could really understand how he affected so many people in so many areas. He was such a nice guy, and he lived his life to the fullest. He really did. I mean, he did some amazing things. He kept on fighting, and he always positively impacted everybody that he met. So, Brian, we do miss you. wish you were here, but I thank you for everything that you have done. And that is my report for this evening. So there are no reports and notices. So we're going to go to public comment. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please raise your hand, wait to be recognized, and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving on, approval of minutes. We do not have any minutes for approval. Lastly, we have the executive session. So next on the agenda is a closed session discussion. Mr. Hustek, will you please explain the procedure for holding this closed session?
Certainly, Mayor. This is the point in our meeting for members of the public to know where the council goes into executive session to discuss certain matters that have a confidential or privileged nature to them. Tonight, the council will be meeting in closed session. We will not be coming out of this meeting and taking any official action of any kind. This is the time we ask the public to leave, and Mr. Brewer will disconnect anyone who's joined us, who has not signed off.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R 2020-216, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations for the sale of municipal property?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No action will be taken following the closed session. At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for the closed session. Okay,
Mayor, I am recording.
excellent. Thank you. We are back in public session. Mr. Ustek.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight in executive session, the township manager updated the council on attempts to sell certain township property. Discussion ensued regarding what the appropriate next steps would be in direction of the township manager. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned at 8:02 p.m.
Everyone, good night.
Good night.